Alright, so as you already know, Classic Sonic is a thing that exists, and Superstars came out and it did nothing, and Sega has realized that and has created some discourse on the international network. So I'm here to discuss said discourse, even though there's a bunch of other news I really should be covering. But I just really want to make a video on this because I feel like people are maybe interpreting this the wrong way. So we're getting to all of this right now. But subscribe to the channel already. Please make sure to subscribe, right? So what are we talking about today? Nintendo Everything makes this tweet and article saying Sega says Sonic Superstars was a disappointment. What? Admitting that about your own game? So I'm going to read the article here. I'm going to see what it says. It says Sega president Suji Utsumi has labeled Sonic Superstars as a disappointment. Imagine saying that to one of your own children. Like, how could you do such a thing, Sega president? That news comes from an interview of Eurogamer. Utsumi was asked about how Sega is ensuring that the Sonic games remain at a high level. Up until more recently, quality of Sonic titles had come into question. Sega was also pumping out different games fairly quickly. Utsumi had this to say in response, in which he also briefly commented on Sonic Superstars. That's a very good question. We were trying to do something creative with Sonic Frontiers. With Sonic Superstars, it turned out to be a disappointment in terms of the outcome compared to what we delivered. Focus on that for a sec. This time we have Sonic X-Shadow Generations and the next Sonic movie, so we're pushing things in the transmedia direction, movies and games working in harmony to make things bigger. But the core of the experience is the game. The game needs to be very good or else there is no transmedia effect. Or at least they know that good games are a thing that should be happening, right? The Sonic X-Shadow Generations game is actually very good. I would say awesome action-wise. But starting next year, it's going to be next level, as you will see at the Game Awards. As you will just see. I don't know if this happened after the Game Awards when they posted this, but I guess they were hinting at the racing game. I don't know. Anyway, earlier in the year, Sega noted that Superstars has generally been well received by those who have played it. Let's see, what was the Metacritic saying? I think it was realistically, it was higher than it should have been. I remember that. 8.4 amongst the users, 73 amongst the critics. Okay. But yeah, the company pointed out it coincided with competing titles in the same genre. Again, Wonder has nothing to do with mediocre performance of Superstars. Superstars mediocre performance because the game wasn't all that. Let's be real, okay? Wonder is only on Nintendo hardware. Like, and yes, Sonic does sell well on Nintendo, but if you made an amazing game and Wonder's only on Nintendo, that's only a competition on one platform. So stop with the Mario cap. If you made a better product, this wouldn't be an issue. Sega announced Sonic Racing Crossworlds for Nintendo Switch. The fuck do you mean for Nintendo Switch? Acting like it's not a multiplayer. I think it's a Nintendo platform, so they just focus on the platforms it's supposed to be on. And yeah, this is getting some discourse online, which I want to talk about. And T. Lopes quote tweeted this and said, Classic Sonic has a special place in the gaming world. Thanks to its unique 2D platforming mechanics and whimsical charm, Sonic Mania demonstrated this potential wonderfully, even with only half the stages being less than half. In my opinion, it'd be a mistake to sideline the series, and someone responds to that saying, people saying Classic should be benched over this are insane. Why is Modern allowed to have heaps of missteps, but Classic somehow shouldn't survive one underperforming title? The suggestion is clearly based on preference rather than objectivity. Well, this is why I'm going to have to disagree with people here, okay? I'm going to have to disagree with T. Lopes, and I mean that respectfully, because, you know, I know people want to slide for T, like he's with King Von, but, like, this is respectfully. Obviously, T. Lopes made the Mania soundtrack, you know, and I'm just disagreeing with this take here, and this take as well. Classic Sonic being benched, but Modern is allowed to have, it's kind of treating them like they're siblings, and it's like, why does sibling 1 get to get away with this and sibling 2 doesn't? They are not siblings, okay? Can we stop with this bullshit? Modern Sonic is Sonic. Classic Sonic is a gimmick of Sonic. It's not actually Sonic. And I want to be clear when I say this shit because people get mad at me when I say this shit. So I want to be clear when I describe this. This right here, I sounded like Soulja Boy, I'm sorry. This right here is Sonic. This is Sonic, okay? Let me not use Sonic Generations. This is Sonic. This is Sonic. This is Classic Sonic. Classic Sonic is a gimmick, okay? What I mean by that is that Modern Sonic is the character. If he has a flop of a game, they don't discard the character, they discard whatever the gimmick was of that game. And then they keep going with the character with a new gimmick or something else, right? Classic Sonic is a gimmick. The idea that you're going to, effectively what Classic Sonic is what if we made a game where we just took the gameplay that worked in the early 90s and just did it exactly again? Nostalgia, right? And then it works. That's what it is. It's just taking something old, adding minimal to no improvements, and then selling it back to you again. That in and of itself is a gimmick. It's cashing in on the nostalgia of the old thing. Modern Sonic's goal is to keep changing and evolving. That's why advanced games added more elements that weren't in the classic games, like the rail grinding and more trick systems and things like that. Things that people don't want to add to classic games because they're supposed to mimic what's already been done. How many times can you mimic what's already been done before it's not working anymore? And again, people saying that it's like bias. SEGA only cares about numbers. They don't give up, like, they want higher review scores, but they only care about numbers. So them admitting that Superstars was well received, but then at the same time saying it's a disappointment, what does that tell you? It was a disappointment because it ain't sell well. That's it. That's why it says in terms of the outcome compared to what we delivered. They're saying we spent this amount of money making the game and we only made that amount. We ain't making enough bread. It's a disappointment. They don't give a fuck about the fans gave it an 8.4. They don't care if it's not selling. So again, the reason why that Shaft in Classic, you know, is simply because it didn't perform in terms of sales. So let's stop the cap on the modern Sonic versus Classic Sonic thing, and let's not pretend that modern Sonic or Sonic has not discarded things in the past. Now, sure, we haven't discarded the character of modern Sonic because he is Sonic, but gimmicks have been discarded, right? Like being able to manually control yourself on the rails got discarded after SA2 in terms of like the rail balancing because it was too hard for a lot of people. They didn't like it. Heroes did the team-based mechanic. They never really brought that back in a main series title after Heroes. Despite some people clearly loving it a lot, they never brought it back. Spin-offs did get it though. 06 was the last Sonic game to have fully 3D gameplay. They haven't brought it back since 06 after that's reception. The Shadow Garden hasn't come back since SA2. Multiple playable characters kind of stopped basically after 06 and didn't really come back until Shadow and the Forces DLC, and then was it Amy and Tails and Knuckles in Frontiers? So like, Classic Sonic dying is because he is the gimmick. Modern Sonic can't die because he's the character. Unless the whole franchise stops selling, then the character dies. Otherwise, apart from that, it's just the individual elements or gameplay mechanics or ideas that die, not the character itself. So I just want to be clear on that. This whole idea that we are treating one sibling better. They're not siblings. Classic Sonic is a gimmick. Modern Sonic is Sonic. And when Classic Sonic was the Sonic, was only in sprite form in the Genesis era, that was when he was just Sonic. When Sonic 2 was improving upon Sonic 1, and Sonic 3 was trying to improve upon Sonic 2, that was when it was just Sonic improving. You can't just have something that stays in one place and then just keep making games on it. That's how we got New Super Mario Bros. And the first one was well received, and after a while, just like, okay, we're milking it now, nothing's changing, we have to do something different, and then they did Wonder, right? Or even when the New Super Mario Bros. Elements were so ingrained and it was selling so well that Nintendo got the balls to try and ruin 3D Mario by turning it into New Super Mario Bros. Adjacent, and people were like, hold on a minute, slow the fuck down, what are you doing? And they went, you're right, we were wrong, and then they gave us Super Mario Odyssey, right? So yes, this is why Classic Sonic is not going to come back in the way that people want him to come back, because he's not allowed to do anything too new. You can't put Shadow in the game. Why? Because Shadow was asleep. You can't do it. But if you made a modern 2D game, Shadow could be there. It's like, it's an intentional restriction, right? And why would we do that? Well, we could just evolve 2D gameplay and make a great modern 2D game or modern 2D experience, right? But yeah, the main reason is money, but all these other things I think are important as well. Classic is a gimmick, modern Sonic is Sonic. Modern gimmicks have died in the past, so it's not like modern is immune to this shit. So many things that we want to come back. I did a poll just the other day after Sonic Racing Crossworlds got announced. I said, what should future Sonic racing games focus on? I said, between hoverboards, cars and karts, on-foot 3D, on-foot 2D. Most people wanted hoverboards rider style, with only the second option being on-foot. Everything else is basically nothing in terms of percent. The fans want the rider style. Why are they not bringing back the rider style? It's because of that moolah, right? I don't think Riders sold as much as they wanted to sell versus something like an All-Stars Racing Transformed. I think that performed a lot better for Sega, and I think that's why they keep trying to do the car formula, even though they know that Sonic fans want Riders. Because they're thinking about that general casual audience who doesn't really give a fuck about the franchise like that, but will buy a Sonic racing game because, oh, that's Mario Kart, but for Sonic, you know? So, again, always follow the money and you see what Sega means, okay? They don't really give a fuck about critical acclaim if the shit's not selling, okay? Most people, I don't care if it's a movie, I don't care if it's a video game, I don't care if it's a TV show, I don't care if it's an album. Most people would rather have something that sells a lot and is critically okay than something that's critically acclaimed and is not selling. That's just how it is. And Mania was not a big seller. Superstars is not going to be a big seller either, although I think Superstars might have performed better than Mania, just simply off of it being 2.5D. But it's just one of those things, man. On top of that, like, so many ROM hacks and shit, and I hate to bring the fan shit into the equation, but so many ROM hacks and fan games have done Classic Sonic justice for years that Sega's just competing with their own fans at this point. And I know I said something against that with regards to the PO6 point, but that was more so remaking a game. I'm just talking about in general. You're competing with something that everyone's done because you've been doing it for so long. It's like, you have to do something new, and Classic Sonic can never really be new because it has to play like it did in the past, okay? So just, let's dead this shit, okay? Let's leave it alone, okay? If you want a new modern 2D game, make a new modern 2D game, add new mechanics to it. I'm not saying leave it exactly the way it was in Advance or in Rush because I grew up with those games. Add something new to it, throw in a new mechanic. I want to try it out. I want to see what's, like, the Chaos Powers in Shadow Generations was fun, right? I mean, some of those have been done before. The Spear been done before, Chaos Control been done before, but like the Doom Wings were fun. Like, I enjoyed it. You know, like the Doom Morph was weird at first, but I enjoyed it in the end. But yeah, you have to take risk, and Classic Sonic is the antithesis of risk. It's like the new Super Mario Bros. Of the Sonic franchise, and that's why we're not in a hurry to see it. Now, if you still want to do it on the side as well as modern 2D, then I don't give a fuck. Do whatever you want. But if that's gonna be the only 2D game we get, then no thank you. Like, I'm sorry. But let me know what you guys think about this, man. I'm kind of sick of the whole Classic Sonic thing in terms of the way people are treating it like he should just exist, but at the same time forgetting that he's not just existing, he's replacing the modern 2D games we could have been getting, right? We could have been getting games like an evolution of the Advanced Trilogy, an evolution of the Rush games, an evolution of the Rivals games or something. But instead we don't get those because Classic is our 2D pillar, we've got a 2D pillar. And I disagree with that heavily. If you want to do the nostalgia thing, then let it be a separate pillar to actual new modern 2D with new mechanics and new cool things, okay? But that's just my take. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell. More content coming soon to the channel. We got a lot of news to talk about. I might have to do a news stream soon because there's so much news. I might do one stream before the movie comes out. And also, the SA2 remake got a demo. Let me know if you want to see me cover that. But yeah, man, that's all I have to say right now. So, Premy out.